Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. Are you a creator looking for the best wireless mic system out there? Me too. This right here is the brand new DJI Mic 2 transmitter system, and we're gonna compare it against the Rode Wireless Pro, the current leader in wireless system technology, mainly because they added 32-bit float, but now the DJI Mic 2 also has 32-bit float. But the DJI Mic 2 has an extra feature, noise cancellation, built-in noise cancellation to the DJI Mic 2. So you'll see I have 3 microphones on me. I'm gonna cruise around Oceanside today and get some audio tests. One of the DJI mics has noise cancellation turned on, one has it turned off, and then the Rode Wireless Pro, just how it is, 32-bit float, all mics, and then the DJI Mic 2, one with noise cancellation. Let's see how this guy holds up versus the Rode Wireless Pro. I'm very excited about this new case, I will say that. It's made out of aluminum. Okay, some quick audio tests, then let's go back to the studio and we'll talk more about the physical mics themselves, the features, battery life, all that kind of stuff we'll do back in the studio. For now though, how do these microphones sound against each other? Before we jump into audio samples and audio comparison between these two, first let's talk about these transmitters, because they're both designed to kind of be worn on you, either clipped on or using the magnetic bit. And you can see the Rode is almost twice the size from the DJI. The DJI has always been a very small microphone. The Rode has kind of kept this large form factor for each of the iterations. And when you see, like, you put it on you, it's a pretty significant difference if one of these was gonna be clipped on you, this guy or this guy. And the DJI is obviously a little bit lighter as well. This guy comes in at 29 grams and this guy's coming in at 39 grams. Then also on the lavs, the DJI has a metal clip, which is important because of this little magnetic bit. You can magnet this onto things. So if somebody has a shirt where, you know, it doesn't have something that you can clip on, they're just wearing a t-shirt, and you want to mount one of these to them, you can put this way up here and then just magnetic it onto a dress or a shirt or onto a person. Now the Rode doesn't have that. So they have a plastic clip on there, so you can't do that. But then they have this little piece, this little metal bit that covers the plastic bit. It goes onto the plastic bit, now turning that into metal, and then they give you a magnet so that you can do the same idea. You can still mount it to you via that magnet. So if somebody does have something, you can just clip it on, very easy. If they don't, then you can use one of the magnets to clip it onto their person. Also of note on these two is that the dead cat or wind muff on these has been redesigned on the DJI, but the Rode kept kind of the same system where you got this little circle in here with 2 indents, then a circle on here with 2 indents. You got to kind of see them, get them lined up, and then once they're in there, you twist it in place. Now, this has never been that much of a problem, but if it's dark or you can't see what you're doing in a dark scene, it is tricky to get it on like that. Now, DJI used to have a really similar system, but they switched to these new dead cats that kind of have a plastic bit with a plastic piece that goes into the 3.5 millimeter lav port on top, and it just clicks in place. So really easy on off, and you do tend to take these on and off a lot, especially on the DJI mics, which I will explain in a minute. Also of note on the lav port, or the 3.5 millimeter jack right there for a lav, both have that, so you can hook a lav into both of these, use them as hip packs. They both have built-in microphones, so you can clip them onto your shirt, but the lav port on the Rode is a locking port. So if you're in more of a professional situation, you're in a situation where your talent could be pulling on that lav while it's in their pocket, on the DJI, there is no locking port. So if it gets dislodged a little bit, then you would then be picking up the microphone audio from here and not from the lav that's on a person. With this guy, it is a locking port, it screws in place, and that is a nice touch. Now, next up is the onboard storage. So both of these can record internally to just the transmitter. So you can be sending audio from your transmitter to your receiver, which is plugged into your camera or your phone or your action camera, whatever that might be. But you can also just record audio straight to this. You can just walk around with this as an audio recorder and then sync that audio in post. Now, the other benefit with that is that in any sort of situation where the signal between your transmitter and your receiver was to break up, you you have that onboard audio. Now, the DJI Mic 2 has 8 gigabytes of onboard audio, giving you 14 hours of backup time, whereas the Rode Wireless Pro has 32 gigabytes of internal storage, giving you 40 hours of backup time. 40 hours, it's a lot. It's significant. This I have not been able to burn through an entire day, because when are you recording 14 hours at a time? You basically have at least 2 days of recording that you're gonna do on this thing, if not more. 40 hours, it might be a little excessive for most people. For me, I would never go through 40 hours of record time, but nice to have it. So between the two, we have a much smaller and lighter transmitter pack that has the magnetic clip built in, does not have a locking port. And on the Rode Wireless Pro, we have a little bit more onboard storage. We have that locking port, but again, a much larger pack to be clipping on you. It's a big thing to have on you while you're recording. And both good transmitters. Now on the receiver side, the Rode and the DJI are very different. So this receiver for the Rode Wireless Pro has a screen on there. There are some settings that I can change on here, but the Rode Wireless Pro system, it really wants you to connect to the app. Within the Rode app that then wirelessly connects to these guys, I can change all sorts of settings, but on the DJI, I can just do that from the receiver and the touch screen that's on the receiver. On the DJI Mic 2 receiver, this has full touchscreen. So I have receiver settings, I have transmitter settings, I have general settings. I can go in here, just have this mounted on top of my camera and change a ton of stuff on my transmitter. So I can change all those settings without having to go into an app. I can change the gain. I can switch it from 32-bit float to regular or 24-bit. I can change the recording, the stop block on the, I can do a lot from right here, and I can tell a transmitter while it's on somebody else to start recording. So from here, I can tell this transmitter start recording. So I touched that there, it started the recording on my transmitter. And I would say that's a big feature. For me to be able to get to all settings, everything that I need without needing an app, I just have this system and it can work by itself without needing an app. That is pretty killer. We have this kind of large touch wheel on there to be able to go through some of the settings. That wheel is a button itself, so I can kind of flip through different things. And then just like the first version of this mic, there are a lightning adapter and USB-C adapter built into the case. So if I pop this guy out, I can slide this adapter into the receiver, and now this receiver can plug straight into a USB-C device. And that's huge, because to not have to, with this guy, I have to go through a USB-C cable or 3.5 millimeter to connect to anything. So whether it's my phone, my action cameras, whatever I'm connecting this guy to, it's usually using a 3.5 millimeter cable. And with this guy, I have that USB-C option. I have the lightning option. This is why originally I'd always use the DJI mics. Like I switched from the Rode Wireless Go 2s to the DJI system when it came out, because it was just such a creator focused system. Like for what I make, for the content that I create, this system was so good. But then those guys went and added 32-bit float, which I use a lot because of how I film. Now both systems only record the 32-bit float to the transmitter themselves, so it can't pass magically 32-bit float through to your camera. If your camera does not record 32-bit float, which I don't know of any that do, if your camera doesn't record it, then the signal going into your camera will not be 32-bit float, but on both of these, you can set the internal recording to be 32-bit float, and then you just sync it with your camera in post. Okay, that's the transmitters. Let's talk about these charging cases, because the DJI, it was always super trick. Like the original one, this guy here, it was so trick that it was this nice case all perfectly done up for this thing, and it is a charging case. The new one is slightly larger, but it's aluminum and super nice. So the transmitters themselves and the receiver have 6 hours of battery life built in on the DJI. You slap them in here, and this charging case now gives you 2 additional recharges. So 18 hours of total charge time on the DJI. I have never been able to burn through that. Again, that's probably like 3 days of use for me. On the Rode Wireless Pro system, each transmitter and receiver have 7 hours of battery life, and then same thing, 2 recharges. So 21 hours total over here, 18 hours total over here. Both systems are multi-day use. And both systems just charge up with one USB-C cable in the back. And when it comes to cases, like DJI is still the much better case. The Rode case is kind of this like softish case, has a bit of a fluffy, soft stuff up here, and then zips closed. So it's not terrible. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of round and clunky in your bag. Whereas this guy is just so dang slick. Again, aluminum construction. The whole thing is just designed so nicely. There is one big caveat though, and that is that in the Rode case, I can keep my dead cats or wind muffs on the transmitter while it's in the case. So I can keep that on like that, pop it in the case, close it up, throw this in my bag without taking those dead cats off. Whereas on the DJI transmitter, even though on the first one I said, please give me a bigger case where I could just keep these little bits on top, pop that in there and close it up. But I cannot do that on the DJI. You pop it off. It is really easy, obviously, with the new design, but it does not go inside the travel charging case with the wind muff bit on there. Something to note. Okay, let's jump to the audio comparison. Let's actually hear these microphones next to each other. And first we'll do it right in this setup because there is no wind, there's no noise or anything that's gonna mess up my audio in here. Okay, that is the 3 microphones again. So one of my DJI mics is without noise cancellation on, one is with noise cancellation on, and then the Rode Wireless Pro that does not have noise cancellation built in, all recording in 32-bit audio. And for this audio comparison, let me tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. If somehow you do not know about Squarespace, they are your all-in-one website building solution that I have used for the past 10 years for my professional photography business. And they're the platform that I am building my new website on that will be for this vlog channel. It will have all sorts of tutorials on there. I will have my e-commerce store will all be on there. So any merch that you guys are looking to pick up will be on my new Squarespace website, and some digital assets that are not launched yet, but that I will be selling through my Squarespace website. The main reason that I went with Squarespace back in the day and that I'm going with them for my new website is just ease of use. Everything is in the platform. I don't know how to make websites, but with Squarespace, I have a super sweet website. And you can too. Shoot to the first thing in the description, go to squarespace.com and go in and download one of their professionally designed templates. Just from there, you could swap in your info, swap in your images, and you've got a great website. But from there, you can use their Fluid Engine design system to customize your website to your heart's desire. Pretty much anything you can think of, you can make with Squarespace. Again, shoot to the first thing in the description, go over to squarespace.com, sign up for a free trial, download everything, start building your website, all during that free trial. When you're ready to go live, use code David Manning for 10% off at checkout. Okay, that is what these microphones sound like in a very controlled situation here in the studio. Let's go back to the beach. Let's hear what they sound like with a bit of wind noise, a bit of chatter going around, just generally a whole lot more noise. I do have dead cats on all 3 of these microphones, but let's just listen to the Rode Wireless Pro in this situation. I'm outdoors, there's lots of waves kind of cruising in, a bit of wind. How does the Rode Wireless Pro sound in this scenario? I'll go quiet for just 2 seconds. And now the DJI Mic 2, same scenario, without noise cancellation turned on. This is just the waves, the wind, just the audio pickup in this scenario. How does this microphone sound? Same thing, I'll go quiet for a second. And now the DJI Mic 2 with noise cancellation turned on in the same scenario. What the noise cancellation should be doing is reducing some of that wind noise, reducing some of that background noise, and really focusing in on my vocals. And when I go quiet, it should be much quieter even when I'm silent. So that kind of system built into the microphone. These are all things that we could do in post, but straight into the microphone, if I was hooked this into my phone or my camera or some other system, to be able to just have noise cancellation built in, pretty sweet. Not having to go into post and do that later, it's a nice touch. Okay, and now up on top of the pier, there's quite a bit more wind up here, so a little bit more of that noise going on. You can probably hear the waves even better up top here, and there's people all around me, so people kind of having conversations off in the distance here. How does the Rode Wireless Pro sound in this scenario? Again, most things with the Rode Wireless Pro, you're gonna have to do in post. It's recording the 32-bit float inside. It has the gain assist technology, but it does not have any sort of noise cancellation. It's not trying to process the audio at all. Again, the DJI Mic 2 in the same format, not trying to process anything. This is just straight out of the microphone like this. And then the DJI Mic 2 in noise cancellation mode. How does the noise cancellation sound out of the DJI Mic 2? Trying to cancel out the wind around me, cancel out the noise around me. And again, just focus in on my voice straight in the microphone. We don't have to do anything in post with the DJI Mic 2. That's the goal. Like the goal is do as little in post as possible. And if this sounds as good as I hope it sounds, I might be switching back to the DJI Mic 2. We'll see. If I get this back on the computer, I'll listen to it and give you guys some final thoughts on the DJI Mic 2 transmitter system versus the Rode Wireless Pro. This right here is actually a perfect spot for a range test. The Rode Wireless Pro has a range of 260 meters, while the DJI has a range of 250 meters. Very similar there, but we're going to see how do they sound, how is the range at, whoa, almost stepped in water, hang on. But in all these range tests, I will say, these range tests are a little silly. I'm probably 300 feet from the camera right now, and already you can see, in what scenario are you filming where you are this far from the camera? Both of these microphones should be well within range right now. I don't want to step in this water here, so I have to jump it again. Hang on. But the biggest deal with these mics and this range is that I would never trust the variables that can come into play with range like this. How far I am from the camera right now, I would always be recording internally to the microphones. I bet neither of these have cut out yet. I'm very far from the camera right now, way further than I would ever think that they would need to be. If I turn around, do either of them cut out? DJI Mic 2, how does the DJI Mic 2 sound at this range? How does the Rode Wireless Pro sound at this range? Again, I doubt either of them are cutting out right now with this much range. I'm so far away from the camera. It's so silly. These range tests on these things, when they say like, I don't know, 200 meters or more, just, it's far. The range is far. I think from that audio comparison, you can see how impressive noise cancellation is to just have built into your microphone. That's a huge sell point for me on the DJI Mic 2. Now, another huge sell point for me is that these guys have a very trick little feature in addition to the noise cancellation, but the DJI Mic 2, it can also do those things via Bluetooth. So without needing a receiver at all, I could just have this transmitter and I can Bluetooth this to my phone, I can Bluetooth this to the DJI Pocket 3, and I can Bluetooth this to the DJI Action 4. So the Action 4, that means that without the receiver plugged into the side of it, my camera stays waterproof while this thing is Bluetoothing the audio to it. And that's a pretty huge little feature. Now, Bluetooth audio, it's never gonna sound as clean as if this audio was being radio signaled to the receiver, plugged straight into your phone or your camera. But these guys don't offer any solution for Bluetoothing to your phone or anything like that, and this does. So it's a feature worth mentioning. It's also worth mentioning because of how the pricing breakdown goes. Now, this system is $399, comes with the charging case, 2 transmitters, a receiver, a bunch of accessories, 2 lavs that go with this, a very, very full system. And the DJI Mic 2 has multiple breakdowns of how you can buy this mic. So $399, or over here, $349. Now that includes the charging case, the 2 transmitters, the receiver, and a bunch of accessories and a little bag to hold your accessories. But you can also, for $219, you can actually just buy 1 receiver and 1 transmitter. You don't get the charge case, which just means that you gotta charge these up via USB-C, but you have all the ability for 1 person to be mic'd up that you have with this whole system for $219. And then taking that even further, for $99, you can just buy 1 of the transmitters. So you could then Bluetooth your audio to different devices, or you could just record 32-bit float with noise cancellation built into the transmitter and then sync in post with whatever camera or device you're using. And for me as a creator, it feels like this system is designed a little bit more for creators. It still has 32-bit float, still has noise cancellation, all the internal recording, it has all those options, but it feels more designed for creators, whereas this system feels a little bit more for like a small documentary crew, has the locking adapters, has a much, much longer internal record time, and I feel like this is more for creators that are gonna go do docs, and this is more for creators that are filming on YouTube, that are filming for TikTok, Instagram, Reels, all that different stuff. Yeah, I wanna hear your thoughts though on these 2 systems, the Rode Wireless Pro for $399 or the DJI Mic 2 at $349 with noise cancellation. And any questions that you have, send them my way. DJI Mic 2 versus Rode Wireless Pro. I will say for myself, I'm probably switching back to this. This is probably what will be in my bag going forward, the DJI Mic 2 system. Let me know what's gonna be in your bag, and I will see you soon. I almost just filmed this entire video without the camera filming. I started my audio, but I did not start my camera, and then I talked for like 4 minutes and didn't realize that the camera, not even recording. Whoo.